Hi, Mrs. Modi. How are you? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you so much for inviting me on this event, on your live chat.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And I was just telling them that one of my first jobs in the art world was as your intern for maybe about 2 weeks, one summer, almost a decade ago.
And I would
So,
and I would and I would tell you, God, Keshav, kitna question पूछते हो?
so on to some more questions now. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this and for letting us into your home and to show us your collection which you've built over so long. Where are we right now? Where are you? Where are you right now?
I'm outside my main door.
Uh-huh.
This is the
Wow.
Hussain that you see. This house
God.
actually has been, this whole house outside, the exterior, the architecture has been designed by Hussain. And this
Wow.
actually the signatured house. If you see, the doors are signed. Earlier, I used to wonder when people would ask, when did you make this house? I would come out, look at the signature, 86, and then would say, oh, 86 is new. So this is a
That's a good story.
Lakshmi.
Uh-huh.
And Hussain Sahab knew that we are a very religious-oriented family because we were living with our in-laws, and we are also. And so I had told him, make anything but horses, and I don't want it to be like a Trojan horse. Don't make a Trojan horse in my house.
Right.
And this is a Lakshmi, which is an inlaid teak inlay on a white door.
Wow.
And if you see, my whole thing is all white, which is this is what he always wanted, a full white entrance with white marble steps. And
but that's really stunning, and it seems like he signed it in two places on both doors. Once in Hindi and the other in English.
Yeah, he wanted to do that. And those days he was on my main gate. It's a Bengali signature. He's written down. Chobidas. He was calling him that, right? Because that time he was in Calcutta. He was doing that. Look at me. That I'm forgetting that series. He was doing that, and
was it a large painting that he did?
No, he did those series. No, British Raj in Calcutta for Renu Modi.
Ah, so the Raj series. Yes, in the 80s. That makes sense. Yeah.
So that time he was calling himself Chobidas. And
wow.
well, this
is that another?
No, this actually I was wanting to show this to everyone. Is Kaushik, another artist I represent.
Could you say that again, Mrs. Modi? We Puneet Kaushik.
Puneet, yeah, I represent him also. I invited him to redesign my house and redesign the placement of art and what to put where. So we use a lot of folk elements in my house now. But so this is a bronze Deepak, and Puneet has made a Lakshmi Yantra here. So when the Deepak lights up, it comes in
stunning.
I'm taking you inside.
It's reflected in the please. Wow.
This is a Nilima Sheikh scroll. It's on Leela Majnu. I had done a show of her scrolls. I'm quickly taking you. This is a ceiling painted by Hussain. It's
is that on glass?
It's acrylic sheet. He wanted to light it up, but it couldn't be lit. So he painted it. It's a very long story, so I cannot kind of describe it to you. But I have a video. One day you come home, I'll show it to you. And
Done.
This is an angel flying through the sky. So he said, I have to finish a little bit. I'll come again and finish the end. And I knew he won't come. And this is exactly what happened.
was that his way, leaving projects half done? Was that something that Hussain often did?
Yes. He did it. It was all upon his mood. There's so many stories.
What are we looking at right now?
I'm showing you the Manjeet Baba wall, which I have created. Again, an artist who was very dear to me, a friend. I think I met him in 1990 and we became very good friends. He was like a mentor, brother, advisor to me. And,
that's a fantastic chair too that you have over there.
Yeah, this actually my husband used to buy antiques when I got married in the 80s. So this is a silver chair. It's something like a peacock chair, and that dealer from whom we had bought had said that there would be actual emeralds on the peacock feathers. So wow. So,
and did your collecting journey start with antiques, Mrs. Modi? Is that where you started as well?
No, my collecting journey started, at we used to live in Modi Nagar, the whole family, and we had a place in Volga restaurant below Dhumi Malls. And there was a particular space just reserved for the Modi family. So in the evening when they used to come, so the men used to do their businesses from there. And I used to run up with my brother-in-law up to Dhumimal, to Ravi Jain's gallery, because
Uh-huh.
he used to buy from him.
I
So,
see.
that's when I got introduced to art. And then my husband
Wow.
was for a home in Modi Nagar. That time he was buying Shiva Nason from Dhumimal and from Chavla.
Mm-hmm.
From Mr. Chavla, we bought quite a few. Husain's also we bought. And
Mm-hmm.
that's how I got introduced to Hussain Saab. Because we were
Ah.
buying things and we got very friendly with him.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I joined.
That's
And this,
fantastic. And yeah.
sorry, tell me.
Ah. No, is that an Irana that we just had a quick look at?
Yes, one of my
Beautiful.
favorites.
Yeah.
This is a work which I really love. It gives me a lot of peace, and it always brings a smile to my face in the morning when I come down.
Yeah. What is his obsession with broken trees? Why does he kind of depict them so frequently in his work?
Iranna actually has gone into this ephemeral nature of life. It's about
Uh-huh.
creation and destruction. And that's why he keeps on, actually it's not broken. It's like in different forms he keeps seeing. So one can one can show so much of his trees in different ways.
Right. Right.
And his work has always spoken of the positive and the negative
Uh-huh.
energies in his work. Um,
Fantastic.
I'm now kind
Um,
of taking you to Manjeet's drawing. This is
wow.
his. I I've always had this obsession of works on paper, collecting works on paper, and
You and me
along work.
both.
Yeah, right. You also have. So works
Yeah.
on paper along with sculptures. I've always had, and I think
Hmm.
it still continues unabated and will happen because it just excites me. I think the sculptural
Hmm.
part came because talking to Hussain about line, form, space, light in the house, in the construction, in the architecture. So I think
Right.
that's what I learned from him, absorbing it, and that's I think came out. And he would talk to me about Gupta sculpture, this period, that period.
He
So
was obsessed with Gupta sculpture and
yes,
Ajanta also to some extent. And we see that in his early work as well, where he brings in elements of Gupta sculpture. But it's also interesting the relationship between works on paper and sculptures, because you've always said that sculptors have a very strong hand in drawing very frequently. Whether you think of Himacha and even Zarina, who we know for her works on paper,
you know,
attempted sculptures as well.
globally actually, it's a very because without drawing the guys can't do sculptures.
Right.
It's a very it's and actually I put a lot of art collectors into buying sculptures because in India I had this very major show in '95.
Uh-huh.
Um, I had taken the whole Lalit Kala and we had done. It's a huge show.
Wow.
Also, when we
On
called it.
sculpture. On
It
sculpture.
was yeah, it was called Sculpture '95,
Hmm.
and so that's where everything comes in. Manjeet, this is Manjeet's self-portrait. Again, self-portraits fascinate me, but this is quite a
With the
fascinating
monkey.
portrait because
Yeah.
he used to go to Dalhousie. He had a summer home there. He had his
Right.
hotels there. So and his business also was there. His brother was looking after his business. So this is
Uh-huh.
all about his penchant on his likes for animals. He used to love
Yeah.
animals,
But
and
it's interesting because the three works we're looking at are also quite different, right? Like we have one
yes,
very dark, heavily shaded work, one that's more imaginative, and then the last one, yeah, it's lovely. And
you
the
see,
one that you're going to show us.
these two are early works of the '80s. That is, I think,
Okay.
it's '98 Ravi's photo portrait, and this is '83, and this is after the Sikh riot he had done this. So this is
Wow.
much after the Sikh riots. This actually to me this is this lamb is it was in his words I'm saying this Bakri
Uh-huh.
is actually it was an innocent victim, and it's
The
himself really,
sacrificial lamb.
and that's what this whole it's a very nice work. And he was very
Yeah.
involved with he was very involved after the Sikh riots. He was helping the victims, going to those colonies, and were very involved, and he was extremely disturbed. He would always be in tears that time, the kind of violence he saw and the aftermath of violence.
And is that something we see with Manjeet? Because I feel like when I look at his work, I've always thought that they are beautiful, but they seem to be devoid of political content. Was that true for him at this time? Or is this an unusual work where he's referencing the politics of the time, or is that something that he often did in his work in a slightly allegorical manner, like over here, where he's taken on a
No,
biblical theme almost?
no, yes, it is something. Many people call this what you are saying is that it has a biblical reference also, but But Manjeet's work was not political. It was more of a mythological, more of an emotional,
Mm.
more of I would say sometimes romantic. Also, when he would paint Heer Ranjha,
Right.
and the
That's
nuances of
fantastic.
drawings of works on paper. I learned from these artists, Swaminathan, Manjeet, Hussain. Like Hussain would
Right.
draw and say, look at the power. This was before I opened my gallery. Look at the power of my line. So,
Right.
and Manjeet would talk about the very beautiful, rounded, gentle uh, way he would draw. So, for me, an
Right.
artist, I mean, I actually look at an artist's drawings a lot, even now with the younger ones.
Wow.
And
Is
this is a
that a
very,
Haloy?
it's a Halloi. Well, I used to show
Wow.
Halloi a lot. You see, I never focused on progressive. I focused more on the next generation of Nilima, Manjeet, Nalini, those artists I did.
Right.
Jairam Patel, Nagji Patel, Ganesh Halloi. So this is
And
a,
was
a
that
banana.
more a factor of when you started in the late 80s? Were these the artists who were really coming into their own at that time? How come you were attracted to these artists who I'm sure were still really struggling and developing their careers in the late 80s?
No, 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 they were not struggling. They had already developed the
Okay.
language. So these
Okay.
artists were not, and it wasn't that I was going to famous artists or name or famous. I have shown some very, very young artists also.
You continue to
Now,
show incredibly young artists, actually.
yes, I did.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Um,
Where are we now?
we are in my drawing room.
Ah,
I'm just
beautiful.
taking you to the one of the first few works I had bought from Hyderabad, from Lakshma, from his
Wow.
studio. This is
Lakshma
that
Gaur.
time. Yeah, I think I bought this in 85, 86, and
Uh-huh.
this work is so special. That time he never did the scale. He was doing only small work. So he had done three
Okay.
works, and this was one of them. So if I go closer, you
Yes.
see I'm sorry, the reflections coming, but if you see this foot,
Wow.
mixed media, you see the light,
And is
and
it pastels that he's used on
yeah,
a dark paper to achieve this?
no, it's both black and brown now. If you see these
Right,
lines,
right, right. That's stunning.
yeah, it's stunning actually.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy to have this, which has a story of
Yeah.
Lakshma Gaur sculpture, which was the
Yeah.
first sculpture Lakshma made. And what is very interesting is there was this collector called Mr. Thakur, who was
Uh-huh.
very friendly with me, and we
Uh-huh.
used to meet. And he was one of the few sculptors, collectors, who was buying all the time. Never
Okay.
have I come across anybody or
Uh-huh.
any collector who would give to the gallerist. So he had done three Lakshmas, and he got it casted. So he
Uh-huh.
said, one I've given to Lakshma, one I'm giving to you, and
But that's a fantastic story. You're talking about a collector who is involved in the casting process for Lakshma's work. That's really something.
he wanted it for himself. So he said, Lakshma
Uh-huh.
ji, aap uske do, and I will do it for you. So he came
Okay.
very seriously with this work and said, I really want to give this to you, and he gifted it to
Wow.
me. And it's a
That's
beautiful
amazing.
Lakshma, yeah.
And is this one of his first sculptures cast in bronze?
Yes.
I see. Wow.
So now,
Is that a Swaminathan I spy above this one?
yes.
Oh
This again
wow.
is a very special Swaminathan for me because, I used to be very again friendly with Swami. I used to go once in 10 days to his South Extension house and sit
Uh-huh.
with him. And this work actually, I was coordinating for Malika Sarabhai, some Perth Art Festival, and there were two works which
Mm-hmm.
she had requested me, Ram Kumar Swaminathan. So there was no commercial angle to it. So
Mm-hmm.
I got these. There were two works. This work, and there was another. I think this is the start, beginning of. Then he had gone into that very, very abstract
Right.
symbols, triangles, and all those works.
Yeah.
This actually he's used earths, he's used haldi in this work because I had asked him,
Wow.
and
And
he
was that common for him to use materials like
he
that early
started. Yeah,
on, really
I
earthy
got to
materials?
again, Keshav. He put me onto material because he used to talk to me about so much about material that in the gallery I've had
Mm-hmm.
many shows on material. Not now in
Right.
the 2000s. So all these
Uh-huh.
artists have been responsible or have indirectly influenced my work in the gallery. So this
Can we have a
particular
closer look at the painting as well, Mrs. Modi, so we can get
so
a sense of
so,
the surface of it?
so this Swami
Uh-huh.
said that if you keep it for yourself, I will give it to you. There was another
Okay.
one which was equally very nice, but that I sold to somebody who's further sold to somebody else.
Okay.
And this actually, if you see now, the lettering comes, if you see now, this comes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And look at the texture, look at the way he, and he
And by this
produces.
time, he's already founded Bharat Bhavan, or is this
Yeah, yeah,
before
yeah,
Bharat Bhavan?
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
So
Bharat Bhavan's already in the picture.
Bharat Bhavan
Okay.
say he moved to Delhi then.
Acha.
I had gone to meet him in 1992 to Bharat Bhavan.
Okay.
And this is a Manjunath
Wow.
Kamath, because I'll show you more sculptures, which are
Yeah.
from Ramkinkar Bech to like from where to where. Like I do buy younger
Right.
sculptures also. Like
Right.
this is Kamath, and that is
Is that
Karl.
terracotta?
And this is Karl and
Okay.
Tau wooden work. Now this is a
Lovely.
very special work which I want to show you. This is
Wow.
Meera Mukherjee, again one of my very favorite work. I have a drawing also of her work on paper.
Stunning.
Um, this actually,
Can
it's
we can
called
we can you go further down so we can get a closer look at it? Thank you.
This
Oh
is a
wow.
Kanduli Mela. You know, she used to stay in that village. I'm forgetting the name of that village where she used to stay. And they used to
Bastar.
have, where?
Was she in Bastar for a while? I know she spent time with the artists over there learning their
Yeah.
metalwork technique in
So,
Madhya Pradesh.
so they used to have this annual Kanduli Mela. So
Right.
that's what she has done this. And it's a beautiful work, no?
Stunning. I feel like you have to look at it up close at eye level to really see all the details in it. It's really special. Wow. Thank you for showing it to us so closely. It's lovely.
And now I come to you to this my favorite spot here, which Puneet actually helped me do it.
Uh-huh.
Um, this is a Ram Kinkar bed sculpture, Nati Vinodini,
Uh-huh. Wow.
and
And Ram
above
Kinkar
is
is really the father of sculpture in the Bengal school, and a lot of the great sculptors who came after him, Pradosh, Sarbari Rai Chaudhary, etc., were his pupils and part of that lineage. In fact, even Ramachandran talks about Ram Kinkar very fondly as his guru and teacher from
you know
Sangeet.
he I would call him the father of Indian sculpture in India. And
Wow.
we had dedicated a show of bronzes in 2007. I think I did a huge show on bronze sculptures
Hmm.
only at Lalit Kala, and I
Wow.
think that was the centenary year. I always get confused. I don't want to talk about the day, but this is Ram Kinkar. Look, if I see it closely, na,
Yeah.
it's his the way he would use his thumb and his fingers and all on that sculpture is what
Absolutely. And for those of you who want to see some of Ram Kinkar's public sculptures, you can see them at the Reserve Bank building in Delhi, where
yes,
he's done
yeah,
two
yeah.
giants, and also at the India Habitat Center. There's a Santhal themed sculpture, Santhal sculpture over there, a person threshing wheat. So if you're interested in that and you're in Delhi, please check those out at some point. Yeah. Sorry,
And
go on, Mr. Modi.
this is a Manjeet Bawa drawing.
Wow.
And this sculpture is a very interesting. It's a portrait of Ram Kinkar Bej. This I had
Mm-hmm.
picked up from Saurav Roy Chaudhary, son of Sarbari Roy Chaudhary. You know, I'd gone
Uh-huh.
to Shantiniketan for getting works for my sculpture bronze show with Madan Lal. And I discovered Saurav's work and I said, "Ye kiska kaam hai?" And Sarbari Das said, "Ye hama ladka ka kaam hai, Saurav." And
Wow.
he said, "This is a Ram Kinkar Bej portrait." I found it so intense. So
It's
for
done. I
me,
mean, the hair is incredible. Yeah.
the hair. And for
Yeah.
me, young or old or investable is not the point when I collect art. Even now,
Mm-hmm.
for me, when anybody says that you buy art for investment purposes, that's not me. That's not his
Right.
pass.
Yeah.
So
Definitely. And yeah, go ahead. Mm.
so we placed. Puneet helped me in placing. So we placed this um, badge, the portrait, and this. I can't take it on the phone. It doesn't come the whole expanse.
Right.
So and then this is
They're right
again.
across from each other. Yeah.
This is an Atul Dodia drawing, which I
Mm.
recently picked up 2 years back from his solo show at Vadera's. And so, I placed it. It's so important to do the placement of art, what you have.
Absolutely. Can we have another look at Atul's work as well, really quickly? So I think this from his girlfriend series that he did.
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
we see an Albrecht Dürer signature. So
Yeah.
he referenced a lot of artworks, including works by Tagore, etc., and changed
Yeah.
them a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
And then this is again
Wow.
a Zarina, my favorite, your favorite.
I think universally loved at this point.
Yeah.
I think she was. It's so sad that she passed away a few months ago. But I feel like, I was just looking at the list of exhibitions that her work has shown in the last 6-8 months alone, and she's shown at 6 or 7 of the best museums in the world. And I think it's so special that she got to see a lot of that appreciation in her lifetime as well over the last decade or so.
No, many of them
really
didn't happen. I think 2 or 3 of them happened when she was around. But Zarina always said to me that मैं क्यों जाऊं उनके पास? Let them come. If my work is good, let them only come and talk to me. So she never did her networking of going to running after the museum directors. Wow. This again is a beautiful sculpture which Zarina gifted to me.
Wow. Is that all in paper, Mrs. Modi?
It's bronze and paper, her prints.
It's bronze.
This is, those wheels on...
right. Her house on the move things that she
House
did.
on wheels, yeah. And this
house
one
on
actually,
wheels,
she gifted to me. One of the few generous artists of who kind of, would keep gifting. And in fact, I told her it's such an expensive one, but she said, "Oh, tumko de rahi hu na."
That's lovely. And was that common for her to do, to kind of have that personal relationship with you? And you knew her for decades, didn't you?
No, I got introduced to her in 1997 through one show, mini print show, which she did with me. Not mini print, mini print 1997. Then I called her up. Then we got talking. 99 she came. We met. 2000 we started showing her, and then it was never it was a journey together, traverse together.
We were lucky that we got to see so much of her work in Delhi thanks to you, and I think that's very special.
And now at Kiran Nadar Museum with such a beautiful show happening,
you
see everything everything coming together.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
So that's cool. And
this is a lovely Sousa.
Yeah, it's a 63 Sousa.
Wow.
And my fascination for lines.
Yeah. And can we get a closer look at the Sousa, because this is an unusual one where he's actually gone back with an eraser to create texture in the skin, etc. Which is, you can really see him. Sousa was one of the people who also treated drawing as a medium on its own, not simply as something to be done before a painting or a lesser medium. And
I think all of them. I think Keshav, all of them at that age, at that generation, they were all doing it. Now also people do.
Right.
You see, drawing again forms. I did a drawing 94 show which was a pan-India show, first time ever in 1980 on drawings. And there were 80 artists from Gaitonde, Hussain, Raza, of them to Subodh Gupta, Shambhavi, because they were the very young ones. Subodh nobody knew, Shambhavi nobody knew. So their works were there. So it was.
And it comes full circle because you're showing Shambhavi again. I think you just showed her a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
Which is really special.
Works are still on in the gallery. And it was and that's when the drawing movement actually in India really started, and people started looking at it. We sold quite a lot to many private collectors. NGMA bought a lot from that show. Right. So, it was like literally giving everybody a whole taste. Many senior artists said to me that, "Tumhare karan ab we've started drawing." Wow. So, it wasn't me, but
can you tell us about these works that we're looking at by Zarina? They're quite unusual,
this is a diptych. Actually, I put it one on top of the other. I'll just explain to you. I think there are 11 houses in this. There is no reason why there are 11 houses. They're all gold foil. And this is a small edition. I think it's an edition of 3, and this is the last edition. And she had told me, "Ye khareed lo tum." So I bought this. And this is a thread, a gold thread, which is stitched by her. So I said, "Why are you stitching this?" So she said to me, "मैं अपनी जिंदगी को सी रही हूँ." Wow. So these poignant sentences of hers.
And she was poetic like that, right? I mean, most of her work started with words and Urdu poetry very frequently. She talks about the conference of the birds, the poem very frequently. I mean, by Atar. I think those of you who please look up Zarina's work if you're not familiar with her. I think you're in for a treat.
And if you really look at it, this is a sculpture by Lakshman Gaur. I find the Surahi terracotta, those those old Mohenjo-daro, those kind of, even those Mexican bronzes, terracottas which you see in the museum. So I just find this work uh, quite similar
I
to
think
that.
there's something very special about terracotta that way, that it's timeless. I mean, something that's 2000 years old versus made 2 years ago. Sometimes you can't, by just looking at the surface, you don't know the difference. And that's so beautiful. And it's such a warm medium that way as well. So handmade. Yeah.
And this is my one. After
Wow.
home is the place I find Zarina's letters from home a very important work, a portfolio to
Right.
have. This actually, I'll go from the above.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she was very emotional when she did this work, and
Wow. That's a
it's not,
Aligarh home floor
yeah.
plan. Yeah.
You know, it's not that she had taken these. They're like from one letter. She said, "मैंने किसी से कुछ लेके मैंने ये बनाया है,"
Mm.
and you know, she said to me that.
Manhattan. Yeah.
She said to me, you know, Rani मुझसे कई चीजें इतनी छुपाती थी. I'm talking to you in Hindi because that's how she told
Mm.
me.
Mm.
She said because she said that, you know, there used to be deaths in the family or any separation, anything, so they wouldn't tell her because then they would think that, you know, ये अकेली है तो she would get upset. But then
Yeah.
through the letters, then they communicated.
Yeah, and I think that's one what one must know about Zarina. Zarina's family was she was born in India, but the family eventually moved to Pakistan. But by that time, Zarina was married to an Indian diplomat, and then she moved to the US, and then the family from Pakistan moved to the UK. So Zarina really lost a sense of physical home, and home really became an idea that she dealt with repeatedly. And it's interesting that she's put each of these letters from home inside a woodcut of a home as well. It's so special. And thank you for showing us all of them together from a
I love
distance as
it,
well.
and I would love to
Yeah,
share it with the world. Now,
yeah.
this is a terracotta. But again, my love for sculpture, which I don't know. I think I must have bought this in late 90s of
Wow.
Himmat.
Hmm.
Um, and this is Himmat said it's his best terracotta which he's ever done.
It's a
I had
stunning
loaned
one.
it to KNMA also,
Right.
and if you look at it,
And
no,
he's really gone at it with like tools and mallets and things like that to create that surface, you know?
you know what, Keshav, Himmat had tools. He created them
Okay.
himself. He got them
Uh-huh.
made, and nobody has those kind of tools. So that's how you know he created these what you see now these
Mhm.
jalis and these effects through those very interesting tools. KNMA showed them. Rubina showed them. And
Right.
this is a Manjeet canvas. This
Wow.
also has its history because he had designed
Beautiful.
this, painted this for one of my nephew's wedding cards. He was not going to
Uh-huh.
do it, but then I got after him and he did it. So he said, "Kharid lo." So you know,
Hmm.
it was then my father-in-law bought it,
It's
and
good advice, Kharid lo.
and
Not bad.
this again is a bronze
Uh-huh.
by Himmat. Again, I have placed them opposite each other
Right.
because it's you
They
see the
couldn't be more
simplicity.
different. Yeah.
Yeah, you see the
Yeah.
simplicity of Himmat's lines. That's why I bought this work because just one straight line divides it. You know, look at the
And
geometry
it's
of the
almost
work.
Brancusi-esque in its simplicity, you know, and the
Absolutely.
patina on the bronze. It's really special. Yeah.
And you know this this geometry of Himmat's, which you know like, which is now getting a little rare. If you look at the
Right.
earlier artists, the whole geometry which they created through their color, through their material or through their lines, you know.
Yeah, and
And this,
speaking of him, he himself was a great a drawer. Like his works on paper are very special as well, and very
yeah.
different from his heads. It's a completely different body of work, completely different language.
Hmm.
Really something special. And what is this that we're looking at, the paper cutouts?
This again, Puneet Kaushik had designed it. But this is that
Uh-huh.
Sanchi art in Mathura. So he got this whole thing given a different perspective. Got it designed by two of the nephew, uncle, and he
Wow.
sat and made. You know, so it's like literally like a. So I introduced again this very in my house, in my home, of folk, tribal, contemporary, modern. So it's like a very eclectic collection, is what I like.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
it's again now this is a very special portrait. It's
Wow.
a canvas done by Hussain Saab. This is of my father-in-law's portrait, and Kishan Khanna
Uh-huh.
says it's the finest portrait he's seen of any Indian artist. I remember when I was in, I think this must be 83 or something like that.
Okay.
I was studying and I'd given my exams, and my kids were born, and I had given my exams, and I remember coming, and I was living in Amrita Shergill Mart with my brother-in-law, and I saw him. I had no idea he was coming, but he was a friend of the. He became a friend for the whole family. I saw him on all his fours with the canvas, drawing away Pitaji's portrait, and my father-in-law was sitting there. And Husain Saab was completely oblivious to the world and to all of us. I came and said, no, you didn't bother. After he drew, then he kind of got into a conversation. And this again has a very interesting story, that when he got this work to me, we moved in this house in 86, and I think he got it early 86. So he showed it to me, something like that. And it was all, that time, Husain was in the mood of doing only metallic paints. So he was exploring it. So, he painted it yellow, like shit, like that kind of a yellow shit. So this whole thing was that yellow fluorescent. He said, "Kaisa laga?" And I said, "Horrible." I said, "I can't take it." So, and he said, "Acha nahi acha laga. Chalo main usko theek karke lata hu." And I said, "You will not get it to me. I know you very well." He said, "No, I'm going to get it." So with great difficulty, I pushed him, and then I finally got this beautiful work, which my father-in-law then passed it on to my husband.
Wow. So now that you've said the yellow, I can see it under the grey. I can see the yellow color under the grey now.
It was really funny. And this actually is copper, and that yellow you see on Pitaji's safari suit and the watch, and he used to always wear that one watch, which Husain noticed. It's amazing.
Yeah.
That's about
Artists have an eye for that sort of thing. But you tell us. Actually, that's a stunning. What is that cupboard? I'm sorry, I don't know the right term for it.
By furniture designer, and Ikru Dhamija, who did my house that time, she had designed this cabinet, and this is very Moroccan. What she's done. So there was a promise by her that she won't do this more. So this is this is that inlay work. If you look at the cabinet,
so absolutely, it looks like an antique.
Yeah, this is actually, it's not ivory, but it is a bone. I think it's plastic, but not bone. Okay. I told him not to use bone, so this is something like that. And look at the inlay.
Okay, it's stunning. It's really something.
And I wanted to show you this room.
Yes, please do.
This bar has been designed. This roof has been designed by Husain.
No way! Wow, that's stunning.
And this flooring also he did.
When you say he did, he designed the layout of the wooden rafters.
He drew it out. He drew it out on a paper, and we called the Lakdi guide, because that time there was none of these fancy things. So they were all seasoned, this teak wood, and then they cut it and they put it. It took some time. So that was how it was special. Again, my love for sculpture. You see the Madan Lal stone outside.
Yes, can you tell us a little bit about Madan Lal? Because I feel like as a sculptor, he's been quite forgotten, but he's done these incredible sculptures, which I think, in fact, I've seen them in an old Marg book or something, these very sculptures. So if you could tell us a little bit about him. Yeah.
He lives in Banaras, and he was the one who actually did my sculpture 95. He curated 2 shows for me, this sculpture 95 and bronze. I think it was 2007 when I did that show. And he's been using stone teaching in BHU. And now I don't think he's working there. I'm not so much in touch with him. His was all vegetation, flowers, and stone. That's what he did, landscape. Okay. So that's those forms he used, and very Indian forms which he used, that lotus which he used. So and then he started using bronzes also. And this is another sculpture which is a Shanko.
Shanko, yeah.
This is aluminium, and it's so contemporary. I bought this from Shankoda himself.
It's stunning. It's absolutely stunning. And so, again, a sculpture whose language is so international and minimal. And he probably made these in the 80s and 90s? Or when is this work from?
I really wouldn't know. I forgot.
No worries. No worries.
I'm sorry.
But that's really something. Yeah.
This is again a small Madan Lal sculpture, which I just bought from him as And this is a Nalini Malani. This is a long work of Nalini. This is on Myla paper, and this was shown in my women artist show, which I did, which was titled Self and the World, and Gayatri Sinha had curated it for the first time. Any show she curated. This was in that show, and we had 2 of the Myla papers. One I had sold, then I think 90s, I think late 90s, to the Peabody Museum.
Wow. And this is the
So,
other one.
yeah. I had both of them.
Fantastic.
Then I said, "Kya karungi itne kaam ka?" So I kind of, how galleries sometimes need, we sell, we buy sometimes.
But Mrs. Modi, I have
And
to say, I think one thing we all admire is your upfront honesty and just just saying it like it is. That's the best thing about you. No mincing of words.
I don't know whether it is good or not.
It's always
Keshav.
good.
Again, one of my favorite artists, my favorite is Nilima Sheikh. These are
Yes,
his,
of course.
again, these also were shown in 97 only at the Self and the World. These are her postpartum series which she had done. A
Wow.
very
Can we get a
interesting.
closer look at them?
Yeah, I wish the light wasn't showing in this. It's reflecting, the ceiling is reflecting. See?
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay. Look at this one. Look at the green beach mein and this.
Gosh, wow, yeah.
this
And this is something we see her. Wow, oh my God, yeah.
no, the delivering, the
Yeah.
woman delivering. So look at this, the luminosity and the depth of the colors. Nilima ji is just amazing.
And by this time, she was already using casein and on Sanganer paper. That was kind of her medium, even at this time.
This is gouache. These are
Gouache.
temperance.
Okay, that's good to know.
And
Yeah.
again,
Thank you. Thank you
these
so much, Mrs. Modi.
are Zarina Hashmi's.
Ah, Zarina sculptures. Wow.
So this is basically accepting Shanko. I think we had this. It's a women's room.
No,
Zarina.
it's fantastic. Mrs. Modi, I just remembered, you have those fantastic Binod Biharis as well. Do you want to quickly show us those?
Sure.
Thank you.
You'll keep making me go round, Keshav. And see
I feel like
everything.
while I have 60 people watching, I can get you to do a few things. Oh, wow.
These are all his Masuri watercolors.
Did Binod Bihari spend a lot of time in Missouri?
Yeah. That time I think he had gone
Okay.
blind. So he was working that time.
Gosh,
And
these are from already when he was blind.
This is not a postcard, it's a proper work, which I got framed like this. So these are all,
Okay.
I got them from Mrinalini Mukherjee, no?
Absolutely stunning.
So they're
I
absolutely
see.
stunning works.
Yeah,
So
no,
this
fantastic.
again is
Thank
a
you so much.
lovely
Yeah,
Amit Ambalal,
yeah.
who's doing better and better
Yes,
and better and better.
one of my favorite
Yeah?
artists. Yeah,
Really?
yeah. I have one of his paintings in my home as well. Stunning.
Thank you, Keshav.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Modi. This was absolutely special. Can you turn the camera around so we can see you and say thank you to you properly? There we go. Thank you so much, Mrs. Modi. This was really, really special.
Oh, it's
Um,
always, it's always lovely to talk to you.
You're too kind. Can you tell us one book that you've enjoyed reading that's helped you get through this thing? Something that you're watching or reading that you would recommend that our listeners and viewers might also you'd want them to look at?
An art book?
An art book or a novel or fiction, whatever you prefer.
Stop reading fiction. I read more of my spiritual books. I was
Okay.
just reading AM Club by Robin Sharma. And actually, today I was going through, the Sadhvi's chairman, I think Sadhvi's has it. He had gifted me this one book, which Sadhvi's has published on the great collectors of, I think, post 40, 40 after 1945. So
Post-war and later. Okay.
yeah, post-war and later. Oh gosh, it's so amazing, the kind of what collectors should be, what in America, in Europe, how collectors pushed the movements, pushed art, patronized art, initiated
Yeah.
art. So this whole book was so fascinating. I mean, I must have read so much of it. I keep reading on and off from this, and the way these about the Mellon collection. It's about
The Rockefellers. Yeah.
no, it's more about the Chicago, how Chicago went into surrealism and Dadaism.
Right.
So it's very interesting. And actually, I've been to the Chicago Art Institute and invited us once when Nilima Sheikh was happening of the
Right.
show. And they took us, they had a weekend, and Madhuvanti had organized the whole event for the few people they had invited specially, and I had gone there for that. And we went to so many, they only organized the Chicago Art Collectors Home. Wow, what a movement, what collectors. I really hope and pray and wish that in India also we have such coming future younger collectors like you
Oh,
in
you're too
India.
kind.
In India, you know, people at of your age of coming up, so that you know the movement starts, the patronize, the you start instead of just going to the auctions and looking at.
I
Um,
agree. And I think that's why looking at someone like yours home is so inspiring for people who are building collections today, because they get a chance to see what it really means to live with art. And I think thank you so much for joining us once again. I really, really appreciate you taking out the time. Thank you,
thank
Mrs. Modi.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.